And now for something a little different. It's still Pokemon, it's still Generation 1, but I recently went on vacation, and while I was there, I was talking to my cousins, and we were kind of reminiscing about our childhood and playing video games while on vacation and the different things that we've played over the years on different consoles, and Game Boy came up as kind of an early favorite. It was one of the things that we all had. It was transportable, we could have it wherever we wanted to go, and it was easy to sort of just, put it in your pocket and maybe continue in the car, because back then, none of us could drive. And one of the ones that came up as a favorite for all of us was Pokémon Pinball. Pokémon Pinball is truly such a delight, and I wanted to sort of relive that moment, and so I'm going to play that today and just sort of take a look. I did do a quick little warm-up round, which is good that I did a warm-up round because I had forgotten kind of how this game worked a little bit. Like, okay, let's be clear. I know how a pinball machine works, but what I mean specifically is I am so used to now the way that video games have effectively like a seamless transition. When the ball rolls up past a certain point, the camera would have shifted with it, right? But the way that this one works, where it literally flashes between pages and you have this sort of brief few seconds of no visibility and kind of unsureness of exactly when it's going to pop back into frame. And when it's going really fast, that can be honestly a little scary. And including like right here, honestly, you also have some moments like that where I feel like that happens in regular pinball too, but this game felt, I don't know what to call it. I don't want to say it was buggy, but there are definitely some times in here where, for sure, I just fully missed when I should have, pulled the trigger. I did it like a little too late or a little too early, and so I thread the needle, honestly, kind of just like that. I made it so it just went straight through. Okay, yeah, that's unfortunate, but like obviously that sort of space has to exist because otherwise the ball would always get stopped if you just sort of let it fall to the, to the bottom. So there's always going to be enough of a gap that kind of thing can happen, but it feels like in this particular game, just because of the way of like the size of the map, if you will, it's not very wide, it's not very long either. So there's not a lot of sort of real estate in which you can kind of bounce around, make some things happen, and so it can just sort of fly around this space very quickly in a way that you kind of sometimes don't really feel like you have control over. Aiming for specific things in this game sometimes feels like I figure out the science to it, right? There are moments where I say, okay, if I can stop the ball and then let it slowly roll down, when it hits right around here, it will go straight up into those, right? Kind of like how I just did there. But sometimes I do that exact same thing and it doesn't go anywhere near them. I mean, like that one was close, but like still sometimes it will completely miss them entirely. Or it'll veer off to the side and you're thinking, okay, not where I was expecting that one to go. So yeah, okay, it's not a perfect game, but also it is a perfect game. It's just one of those things where I feel like even at its buggiest moments, or the moments where something just sort of loads or doesn't really operate the way that I think you would sort of expect a modern day game to operate, in terms of like what the Game Boy and Game Boy Color could kind of do, basically, this feels like it's, bigger than what it should be able to do. And I don't know why that is. There's not any like kind of crazy graphics happening here per se, but it is, I would say, a pretty intricate thing. It's also a very big reminder for me that the second pinball game, the one that came out for Ruby and Sapphire, is better. And it's also because it's on Game Boy Advance, so of course the graphics can be a little bit smoother. It's not as jarring of transitions on screens. I think that things like this sort of mechanic, like the slot, works a little bit better. One of the biggest things that you're going to see happen here is the amount of times that you are trying to get the ball to go into the slot, but because it has that little ring to try and help suck it in, but it's not quite strong enough, for certain, really, if it's going even remotely fast. Medium speed or higher, it just sort of pivots it around and again sort of like shoots it off to some other side. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, okay, that's not where I'm going, or that's not what I'm trying for, and it can really take you by surprise at times. It also means that sometimes you're sitting there really trying to get it into this one little spot, and it feels like you're getting it right on the money 12 times in a row, and yet you're missing it every time. So it's not, again, it's not a perfect system, but it is like a perfect game. I feel like that sounds like such a weird thing to say, but maybe it's also nostalgia glasses. But like, even at my worst, when I did my practice run before I actively started filming, right, of just sort of getting it back under my fingertips and also reminding myself of how both maps work. So I did, technically, I guess it's 2 bonus rounds or practice rounds, one for red and one for blue. But just sort of play testing them a little bit and just reminding myself of how each one works. They both have some different mechanics, which I think is very fun and smart as well. But also just the fact that, like, there is, like I said, a nostalgia factor of just sort of getting in here and going, oh man, yeah, I kind of forgot that they did this, or I forgot that they had blank. And I just feel like that really kind of made me feel like a kid again in some of these moments. But even at my worst times, which were the bonus rounds, or practice rounds rather, like on one of them, I think I caught like maybe a single Pokemon on my very first run ever in red. And, oh no, sorry, that was in blue. In red, I really wish I had filmed this because I got 2 Charmanders in, I think it was Vermilion City. Like, I got them both back to back, and I was kind of like, that. I mean, don't get me wrong, love that. Charmander's my guy, but I couldn't believe that I got 2 of them in a row. It just felt like very fast to get starters like that. But going back to the thing that I was saying about mechanics, right? This is another one of those things that I had mentioned as something that I recognized during my kind of preliminary check of the game and like kind of getting the game back under my fingertips, right? There is a kind of core fundamental thing that's happening here. And to just sort of explain really quickly how the game goes, obviously it's like any kind of pinball machine, but as you also saw earlier with the Shelder, once you have a get ready to go, right, as in like, you know, prepared to catch a Pokemon, which you can re-up on every time you go to the right path. You'll see the E is blinking right now, and there's a G already lit up. Once you get 2 of those, the next time you go to Bellsprout, it will start the catch mode. And so after you catch a Pokemon, it resets that area, right? And you have to restart that path and get a couple of the buttons going in order to then start a catch mode. And if you go to the left-hand side a few times, you'll see that it says Evo. Well, technically you'll see just right now it says E, and then the V is the one flashing, because V is the next one to get. Once you get EVO, it will open up the Ditto path, and you can begin a route in which you can level up the Pokemon that you have, which I think is very cool. It means that you are able to catch 150 Pokemon within this game. Okay, well, listen, we're going to take a quick breather here to look at this bonus round, that it is just so hard. I couldn't believe that I only got 1 chance at that, and about like how there was just no space there. It was so easy for that to just instantly bounce into the hole. So I don't know how anyone completes that section, but I certainly never did. I got there twice, never beat it once. In fact, the very first time, it bounced off of the very first Diglett and instantly just straight down to the center. So, you know, I guess maybe someday I'll come back and try it again. But for today, it will not happen. Now, back to the mechanics section here, right? So one of the interesting things is that, like I said, like you go to the left to get evolution, to the right for the catch mode to sort of become activated. But in this one, you have 2 different holes that you're going to in order to get there, and then there is straight through the middle, obviously, the Voltorbs that you are bouncing off of, both for points, but then also the sort of things that then activate any sort of the catch mechanics, right? It opens up the tiles. The thing that happens, though, in the next one, we'll get to it when we get there, but they changed that up a little bit. It's not by a lot. There's still an evolution path. There's still a catch path. But they are a little different. The way that map works differently, like on a fundamentals level, is very peculiar. And it's weird because I like this map more, but little small spoiler, I'm actually better at the blue map. And I don't really know why that is. That being said, I was saying earlier that it feels very difficult to aim in this game. Like, it feels very difficult to really know exactly where my ball is going to go. On that last one, I really thought I was going to go straight up the path, and then it doesn't. Then I thought, okay, maybe I can just sort of have the ball fall straight through, and then I'll get it on the way back. Nope, okay, it is just a little off the path, and then that one goes up because Ditto is now open. Okay, so we're sort of struggling a little bit to find a pathway up here. And so, getting the direct line that you need feels a little difficult. Now, here I'm just going to shake and tilt the console effectively, which is another fun way to do this, right? Like, there's sort of like a rumble tilt thing, the way that like an actual pinball machine would have. But yeah, I use that mechanic to just sort of make the ball slow down just enough that I could have it drop on top of the first water stone. And yeah. Now, I will say this too, is like, I got very lucky with getting the Pika functionality here. That would have ended this run right there. Like, I would have gotten that ball out because I had just used the Pika, so there wouldn't have been another power level. But yeah, I felt very fortunate that I had unlocked that on this run using the slot for the CAVE. Now, with this game as well, I feel like I don't remember as a kid how far I ever really got with it. Like, I obviously know I caught a bunch of things. I had the game, I played it a lot, but I don't know how many of them I ever like fully evolved. Like, I don't remember ever having Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur. I don't remember ever having like, Dragonite. I feel like I had probably a lot of like, okay, sorry, real quick, that was a crazy little glitch that should not have happened. That's one of the rare moments where the glitch actually works for me instead of against me. That was absolutely crazy. I don't know how the ball just sort of warped through the wall there, but I will take it. Oh, look, here's another Diglett stage. I actually thought I only got it twice, but it looks like I'm going to get it for a third time. Oh. Honestly, forgot that happened, and it's crazy that it happened a second time, where it did exactly what I just did. But it's okay. We're back at it again, and we are in the sort of regular area of the map. There's another feature here, too, which I don't think I'm going to get in the red one, if memory serves. And if it does come up, then I'll say, oh, hey, this is the thing I was talking about. But effectively, if you hit the Diglets on the side enough times, you begin your like a quick time event in a way. You have only a few seconds to get the ball to go in a certain direction. They'll sort of give you some arrows to show you which ways you can go, and it unlocks like a pathway to another part of the map. So like specifically, like it could say, okay, now if you go this direction, it'll take you to Celadon, and this direction will take you backwards to Cerulean, right? Things like that. Which I think is also pretty great because different areas, just like in the regular Pokemon games, different areas mean different Pokemon. And that's a very fun mechanic. Okay, again, the ball warps through the wall there. Not really deserved, but that's okay. I'll take it. I feel like, after my quick rounds to kind of figure out how the game worked, and I really got my butt handed to me, like I didn't get remotely close to getting onto the top 5 board kind of thing. Oof. I'll take the moments where then I got to have a good game, whether it was by my own ability or the game saying, actually, we'll just give you this one. I'll take it. And we're going to see it come up a lot, I think, in blue especially, but even in red, like you're going to notice that also one of the key features, or one of the most important things about these maps, that's unfortunate. But one of the most important things about how this game runs is you want to get your multiplier up, and it resets all the time anytime you go out. But that is a crucial thing, and I feel like I could have potentially tried to focus on it more in that first run and gotten many more points, just because I only caught 2 Pokemon. and one of them was through evolution. But still, I would say that 2 Pokemon and still getting onto the top 5 feels pretty good. So now that we've had that first run in red, let's take a look at blue. Here's where this map is weird. You will see that there's an arrow when we go straight up. It has like a suction cup, not suction cup, but like a suction zone basically. If you get it close enough to the slot there, it will pull the ball directly up or to the left or to the right, depending on where the arrow is pointing. And so that's what you need. I'm surprised that the ball went straight down. It should have gone into, there it goes. So that is how it goes into a zone in order to start the catch mode. And they make it this way because they made this map thinner, and I don't really know why. I guess, again, just to make it a little bit different than red, but they only had so much sort of landscape and space that they could really work with, so they couldn't change it too much. I totally get that. But when you look at this, like the way that the mechanic for this, the way that it sort of launches the ball both up and down, this is, I think, the main thing that makes it feel, earlier when I said the way that the ball can kind of fly at times, right? Like the way that it can really gain some speed. I actually think that the blue map is the worst for that one, because did you see the way that when it bounced off of something, it caught extra speed and then it launched itself into the arrow, which again forces it with some speed in a certain direction. So this is one of the main places where getting the ball into the slot hole, like we're seeing right here, is, I think, much more difficult than it is on the red map. And genuinely also getting a ball multiplier up top, like from getting like a great ball or an ultra ball or even a master ball, it's also much more difficult because the little slots can reset themselves every time you go through them and they're already lit. But I also guess maybe it's because they hold your hand in making sure that it gets up there. I don't know. There's also no thing that blocks it the way that it does in red. So I guess there has to be some sort of mechanic to make it harder to level it up. See, just right there, I had one, hit the button once to try and open up another slot and messed it up. But it's okay, because that time we actually got very lucky with how that one bounced in. And we even got a catch 'em mode start, which is great for us. This is a great beginning to this run, and we're hitting the multiplier button a bunch of times, which means that pretty soon it should level up for us. Oh, okay. We only got like 4, it looks like. Okay. I thought we were going to get at least 3 for sure. That is just a single hit. Oh, they gave me 2. I feel like I didn't see the second one there. That's interesting. I was expecting something else to happen there, but I'll take it. Like I said, I'm never going to complain about when the game just says, hey, man, take this one. And just like the other game, or just like the other map, rather, the buttons on the left and right there are also to change the map. They just look a little different on this one. Just obviously, again, changing it up and using different Pokemon throughout the different game. But even though earlier I mentioned the fact that like when the ball goes to the right and it goes into the cloister, it begins like a catch mode if you have a catch mode active and ready. But on the left-hand side, there is a slow poke, and if you get the ball into that area, it will start the evolution. And that's the main reason why they have the arrow, is to sort of help you get into those holes, because obviously there would be no way to get it to go straight up and then suddenly take a hard right turn on its own. They made this map, like I said, much longer. It's weird. I don't know how they are both 2 square screens, and yet somehow they have managed to make the blue map feel like it's just longer and skinnier and harder to get something to go through. I would love to see maybe like an actual like pixel count or something. I don't know how I would really figure this sort of math and space out, but it really is kind of intriguing how they changed up the maps enough to really make you have to play differently. And speaking of playing differently, that was also another reason why I chose to do pinball today. Like I said, there is the nostalgia factor, but also like there were a few different ideas that I was sort of toying around with for this video and for what I could do with pinball, either for now or for the future, because I don't think necessarily that there's a lot to commentate on this game with, right? Like the next time, if I were to ever make another video in pinball, I would have to come up with something to do. Like maybe if it was like a Q&A and I just did Q&A over top of this footage, something, you know what I mean? I'd have to do something in order to keep it interesting and intriguing. But, you know, I can't just keep waxing poetic on the same features of, oh, this one has a different mechanic, this one has this one, right? Because you don't want to hear the same stories over and over again. Although, I suppose, just like the sort of solo challenge runs that we have, there are certain things that I describe in every video because you never know when it's someone's first video. But at the end of the day, like, I don't think someone wants to watch 30 minutes again of me saying, so this is how the blue map works, you know. But I started to play this game too because I was thinking about a couple different things. The first one being that because of going on vacation recently and forgetting that, like, yeah, I got a video done right before and a video done for the week of, then when I came back and immediately had to go back to work, like the day after vacation, I didn't have any other footage ready to go to then make a video for that week. So I had to, like, on my time that I had to spare after I came back, and after I was done catching up with everything else, I had to finally work. So I'm one video behind on there. And also I'm one video behind because of the time that I was sick earlier this year. And I know that some people will say, hey, listen, man, like taking a week off is not that big a deal. You know, you got to take care of yourself, et cetera, et cetera. But I really wanted to make sure that this year, at the very least, I really want to try and be as consistent as possible. I'm a big consistency person in terms of content. It is a thing where sometimes something comes up. I get it. Sometimes things are late. Sometimes technical difficulties happen. Sometimes whatever. And I'm pretty fair to myself about those things because this is not my full-time job, at least not yet. God, I wish. It would be great if I could get to that point. But until then, I have to do what I have to do, you know? But like I said, I really wanted to, one of my goals for this year, one of my like New Year's resolutions was that I was going to start this channel and that I was going to be as consistent as I possibly could and that I was going to end the year with 52 videos minimum, that I would average one per week. So because of that, I'm going to put out this little bonus video today and then try and get 2 videos out during the next week or sometime soon. Maybe just one next week. You know, I don't want to do like 3 videos back to back either. That might be a lot. That also might be too much for you all. You might be like, okay, I get that you missed some time. Don't over inundate us, you know? But I also thought about like the fact that, you know, if I was going to do some extra videos to try and catch up, perhaps at least one of them being something a little different might also help to alleviate the fact that I'm kind of doing a little bit of catch up. And there was also the idea at one point for me that what if I played through a game of pinball and I could choose whichever map, or I could even have the audience choose whichever map that they wanted to see, and then say, okay, whatever Pokemon I catch in that are the only Pokemon that I can catch in a game playthrough. Like effectively, maybe not necessarily a Nuzlocke, because then that'd be weird if I only caught 3 Pokemon and then all 3 of them die. But then again, I guess that's kind of how those things go, right? But I was thinking about just like, oh, I could do a couple different things. I could try some different formats of content by using the pinball game or using some other non-standard Pokemon game as like a preliminary effect. Man, the ball just keeps going straight down the middle. This is not good luck. This is pretty bad on my part. And it's also just going straight around. But I had that idea, and I haven't really done much with it. Like, I haven't tested anything just yet. I haven't really looked to see, okay, if I do this, like, which Pokemon would I then start with, and then how long would it be until I got another Pokemon, things like that. But if I could get, like, a solid run where I could do, like, in pinball, minimum 4 Pokemon, I would say. And I don't mean, like, oh, you caught one and then evolved it or whatever, because I think that in standard Pokemon, I probably could just evolve them. Although, again, I could add the feature behind myself of saying, hey, you have to get, you know, you have to get like whatever you get. Like if they don't evolve in the pinball game, they don't evolve in the game. You know, there's a lot of different ways that I could sort of address this and make it happen, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, like I just feel like there's so many different things that you can try and do. I've considered doing some sort of playthrough of one of like the Ranger games or Ranger, was it? The dungeon games. All of a sudden I'm blanking on what those games were called. I played them years and years and years ago, but at this point, I don't really remember what those ones are called. I want to say it's like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon or something like that. But I feel like those could be fun to also do some sort of playthrough of, or even doing some kind of like ROM games that are, you know, like, or say ROM hack games. Like, I really have enjoyed Emerald or Sea Glass. What is it? Emerald Sea Glass or Sea Glass Emerald? All of a sudden, I'm blanking on what the order is on that title. But like, I really feel like I would love to do like a playthrough of that here, because I really love the artwork of, and like the sprites and everything like that, of Generation 1 and Generation 2. But Gen 3 is honestly such a great game. And so Gen 3 with Gen 2 graphics is truly just something, I truly love it. It's one of my favorite ROMs that I've ever played, I think, is the Sea Glass Emerald. I've also played a couple other hacks that have been pretty enjoyable. Some of the ones that are like Fire Red, but then they make that also Gen 2. I don't know. I'm very nostalgic for Gens 1 through 3, I think. And so I think there's going to be a lot of those games probably featured on this channel, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to see content from other places and from other spaces. That being said, though, the whole thing here too, right, is that like, I want to make the content that I want to see, but I also do want to make the content that you want to see. So I would love to hear your thoughts on any of the ideas that I've put forward. Or also if you're like, oh, hey, have you checked out this ROM, or have you checked out this game, or have you considered trying this challenge, whatever it may be. You know, if you've got anything that you're like, hey, just to sort of change it up every now and then, if it's like, hey, do, 2 months in a row of the regular solo challenges, and then maybe, every other month kind of thing, give us one random video in, the Poker Road game, or give us, part of a Nuzlocke or something, you know what I mean? Whatever your heart desires, whatever kind of things that you're interested in, let me know. But also, I totally get that sometimes within a niche, there is a, kind of hyper niche. Like, I feel like there are a lot of Pokemon channels out there that do a lot of different things, but there's also Pokemon, channels that the only thing they do is solo challenges. And, that might be what this audience is only interested in. You tell me, and I will kind of cater to that. Like I said, I want to do the stuff that I want to see, but I also don't want to constantly put out videos that everyone's like, "Hey, man, stick to the solos, okay? We're good. We're good on this front." Oh, wow, that's one of the rare times where the ball getting shot straight down actually goes directly into the slot. That was pretty sick. That was a great one, and another evolution. Pretty good to see. We've had some pretty good luck here. We've had a Shelder evolve. Look at this ball getting thrown around by this vortex. That is wild to me that it took that long to go in. But, oh my God, I forgot about the Meowth stage. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm going to stop yapping for a second, or at least yapping about the other stuff, and just say that this is, of the 2 bonus rounds that you can get in this game, this one I absolutely love. This is something that they've then sort of replicated in the Ruby Sapphire version. They had it be Kecleon. You would hit a Kecleon, and I don't think he drops anything, does he? I don't remember. But I think it's just a matter of like, you hit him and he freezes. And I thought that was always a fun little mechanic. I thought they really did a great job with that one. And like, I really like the way that this game operates. And, just hitting the Meowth over and over again, getting all those little bonus things. And I cleared it. I have 20 seconds to continue to kind of boost some stats there, get some points. But at the end of the day, I could just let it run. I could just let it go. I don't need to. I already passed the stage. Feels good to know that I could get through one of the bonus stages, because the Diglett one for sure was never happening. But this one, I just barely missed the last coin. I also love him gloating at the end of like the but it's like, no, I did beat your little game. I beat your game, Meowth. You stepped down. Oh, a Slowpoke, okay. And then right here is where I pause the game. I don't know why. I'm in the middle of something, so it must have been something important. It's weird to think about the fact that I recorded this not even 12 hours ago, and I have no recollection of pausing the game here. But I suppose I had to get something. Maybe I just needed to drink something. I don't know. Sometimes when you need water, Now, here we have a little lucky kind of Pikachu catch, although we also have Savor on right now. So we don't necessarily need it. I probably could have just let it go and saved the power up there. Sometimes it's easy to go, oh, quick, I need, your instinct is to just save the ball under any circumstance. But sometimes you got to remember that if you already have a saver on, don't waste your Pika power. Okay, a lucky bounce back in. That was a little intense. Okay, now see, Pikachu wasn't fully powered, so he wouldn't be able to catch it anyway. But now, now we're on one of these weird little trajectories where I have a perfect storm of it is just falling directly straight through the middle every time. Then to try and mess with it, I start hitting the tilt a little bit to try and fix that. It does not help. So we're getting into some very bad luck, and the saver runs out in like 3 seconds. You sometimes get a few, basically like some iframes, like right at like 59 seconds. I've definitely had the ball, in fact, just now. That's actually 56 seconds in. So that was weirdly lucky. I don't know how that one didn't go through. It must have been like 0.2 frames kind of thing. Frames? I meant to say seconds, but it could have been like 2 frames left total within the saver, and I got it. And luckily, we caught the Slowpoke. So that is a third Pokemon in our pocket on this particular map, on this particular run, which is pretty good, honestly. Like, I guess that means that we have, a total of 5 Pokemon overall, if you include, again, evolutions. Okay, well, I guess it doesn't matter. But look at that score. Not bad. It is obviously not the top of the list, but the fact that after just a little bit of warm-up and getting back into it, I was able to get into the top 5 on both maps in both runs. And that feels great to me. And of course, I put in BRP for Brippy. It kind of makes me think it looks a little bit like Burp, which is unfortunate. But maybe I should have done Brip on the first one and then 151 on blue. I don't know. Doesn't matter at the end of the day. But that was Pokemon Pinball. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you want to see more things like this or other things. And of course, as always, if you like this video, if you've gotten this far, please make sure to give this a like, give me a subscribe, maybe throw a comment down in the section there for letting me know about, your favorite nostalgia games that are maybe the not mainline Pokemon games. Because anytime you anytime you interact with a video for a small creator, it really helps us out a lot. So I really appreciate it anytime any of you are jumping in the comments and giving me your thoughts, your enjoyment, your anything. Even if you're just like, hey, I had pizza today. I would love to know that. Okay, that is it for this video and for Pokemon Pinball, at least for now, and I will see you all on Monday for a solo challenge in Pokemon Yellow.